this stewardship, you would say, okay, much like, I am a steward over young women in my ward back home. And so you'd say, I have some kind of stewardship. What's the stewardship that Partridge now gives to the people? Typically, everything you brought up to Zion, you now went from being an owner to you are a steward, meaning who is the owner? Okay, the Lord. Okay. So notice, you have just gone through, you consecrated, now you have a stewardship, and now the bishop is going to give you more. So, here goes. Okay. Remember, we're talking about Zion, and Zion is a land and a people. The person has just proved that he is the people part of Zion. In other words, he's called by a prophet. And what you may not know is that temple recommends used to actually be signed by the prophet too. So you had 3 signatures. I mean, well, you had yours, okay. You had the bishop, the stake president, and then you had the prophet. And it was like that until Wilford Woodruff becomes president of the church. So it was like a call up to Zion. So the individual has arrived in town. He has consecrated everything he brought to the Lord. As a result, he now is a steward as opposed to the owner of it. In addition, he gets more stewardship. So to do that, I'm going to put the land of Zion. And Zion is always in a circle. And you'd say it's a square within a circle. And in some of the temples, windows, particularly Mount Timpanogos, close by where I live, you start to see these kind of shapes all over in the windows. And, I walk around and I go, oh, wow, there's Zion, there's Zion, there's Zion. Okay, so Zion has everything to do with geometric shapes. Zion is a circle. Okay, and I can do a better job. But, Jason, you'll be able to even do this better. Okay, Zion is a circle, and Zion is a square within the circle. If you were to say we're going to focus first on the square. The square, you set it up like you would a grid system. Looks like this. And you would say the center place of Zion, anybody call what that is? Temple Square. Okay, that's Temple Square. Over here, all the rest of it is called lands of inheritance. So the square part is lands of inheritance. The center part is Temple Square. If you were, say, a businessman and you said, I'm a blacksmith, I make barrels, I make windows, you would set up shop all around Temple Square. So this would be the downtown area with the idea that the square in total population could grow to 20,000 people. Now notice if I did it smaller and you said, here's Zion, and the plan is that Zion would spread out like it talks about in 4th Nephi, and never would there be a happier people. So you have spokes going down that are just like it. Okay, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, and you just keep going all around, da-da, and then you'd have another town, and every 30 miles you'd have another town. It would spread out. Okay, as it spreads out like this, if I had drawn it better, you would say it looks like a what? Okay, think about when you're a little kid and you're in kindergarten, you draw it. A what?
A flower.
Okay, a flower. Good. Someone said flower. Okay. Others would say, it's starting to look like the sun. Like there's the sun, moon, stars. And you'd say, what does Zion look like? Zion always looks like the sun. Another word, Brigham Young, or another word that Joseph called this, he called if you looked at Salt Lake City, you'd say this is the hub, and he would call this spokes going out like it's the hub of a wagon wheel. So, how does Zion look? And the answer is, first you put in the main town. Okay, this is our main town, called in this case Independence, with the idea that about every 30 miles out, there would be another little town until that town got 30,000, and another little town, and another little town, and you would always settle the valleys. Okay, that's Zion. Now, okay, I'm going to take one of these squares that's not Temple Square. So I'm going to take a square out. The square, this is a block, and the block coming out is 10 acres. Every 10-acre block was divided into fourths, meaning how much land is 1/4? Okay, it's like a quarter of it. It's like 2.5 acres. Okay, if I had gone there and I'd gone to Bishop Partridge, I'd consecrated what I brought from Kirtland. I then received it back as a stewardship. I would also receive back what would be called my land of inheritance. How big were lands of inheritance? And the answer is 2.25 acres. Now, on these lands of inheritance, you were to build a house, and the front yard, about 40 feet back before your house began, that was to be beautiful, much like yards you see here, where you'd say they have grass, they have shrubbery, they have flowers, but what's my backyard? Gardens. I have my chickens, I have pigs, I have lambs, I have my little orchard back here, and then whatever I grow back here, take care of back here, that is to support the people in the house. Okay, everybody got it? So you have, here's your house, okay, here's your front yard, it's beautiful, here's your backyard, it's your barn, it's your orchard, it's your everything you're going to need to support the people in the house. So notice, what do the people get that then come to Zion? They consecrate what they have, they get a stewardship of what they brought. In addition, they get a land of inheritance, and in addition, they get an assignment. Okay, we're now to this part of the circle. So the assignment out here is to be a farmer. And it goes like this. Whatever you can grow here, and I go, oh wow, it's just my husband and I were older. This year, and every year it would change. So, this year, we'll take a tiny bit. But, when all the kids are home, oh yeah, we can do this. We'll plant zucchini, it will go everywhere. We're going to plant palm trees, we're going to plant. Okay, and then let's say I harvest this. Do I own this? Where do I take it once I harvest it? Bishop's Storehouse. Where will it be? Temple Square. Okay, so let's see if we got it. Okay. Zion is a circle square. Zion is a rectangle. Do you see that? Lands of inheritance are 1/4 of an acre. Stewardships will include a land of inheritance that's yours for all generations of time. And you'd say you're out here. This will rotate depending on age, ability. And here you will be some kind of farmer, and this then will go into a bishop's storehouse. Okay, one question being asked, how did Oliver Cowdery lose his membership? And the answer is, he sold his land of inheritance. Okay, why would that be wrong? Okay, it's not really his, it's a stewardship. And more than that, it would be like Esau, selling his birthright, for like porridge. You're like this, and you're like, hey, Oliver, don't sell your land of inheritance. In other words, when the saints flee Jackson County, nobody sells their land because you don't want to sell your inheritance before the Lord. Okay, does this all make sense? All right. We are now 1831. Here come the saints into independence. They very much want to set up a circle square. What's wrong? How come they cannot do it as they plan?
It's already town.
Okay, people are already living there. So can you imagine, here come the saints, and as they come, they're pretty workaholics. They're not your couch potatoes sitting at home, but suddenly they come, and the southerner wants to shake hands. What does the southerner's hand feel like? It's smooth, okay? And he has long fingernails because, remember, he has others that do his work in the fields. He feels your hands, and your hands are rough, and you know what he thinks has just happened to his town? Here's a quote. Po white trash has just come into town. In other words, you guys are the workers. You guys are in the fields. Our town, we can deal with the Native Americans. We can deal with the runaway slaves. We can deal with whatever, but not poor white trash. Okay, so we come into town, and remember, how do they determine how much they own? Okay, what do? They're squatters, so they open up their fences telling me, are they doing everything perfect? No. And we're going, miter your corners. Okay. Okay, and in the meantime, because we are, the best of the Latter-day Saints that have come, tell me, are we rushing to the doctors? Okay, where are we going? We're going to our priesthood guy. I don't feel well. Can I have a blessing? Great, I feel better, I'm going. And, all of a sudden they're going, who are these people? Tell me, are we doing a lot of shopping at the general stores? No. And all of a sudden, wow, these people in Independence go, we don't like those guys. And you ever tried to mix oil and water and you just shake it? Does it ever work? Okay, it never works. And so finally, we've got a huge problem. We try setting up our thing like this, and these old Southern gentlemen, suddenly they're out at the general store. You ever seen those old general stores? They got the rocking chairs, they got the game of checkers out here, and they're just talking time of day, and pretty soon they just see more and more Mormons coming to town. As they see more and more, they're starting to say, there's getting to be enough of them that they could actually outvote us at the next election, and pretty soon we'd all be living in these 2.5-acre things. We'd all be, consecrating. We'd all just have stewardships. And suddenly, are the saints in trouble? And the answer is, they're in big trouble. So notice we move here in 31, attempt to live this, but by 1833, we got a big problem. The problem goes like this. At nighttime, we're in bed, and suddenly the Southerners are out at night. If they're going to be out at night, and they're going to form a mob, what do they wear? Okay, the blackened faces, that's Ohio, that's New England. Okay, they're going to wear white, right? White sheep, white hoods. They're going to carry crosses because, protect me, Lord. I'm doing thine errand. And so suddenly, they're coming out to mostly the outskirts of our little settlements, and they got their slaves with them, and they're saying, go in there and burn them. And suddenly, we're awakened in the night, barn's on fire, it's right here in our lands of inheritance. Well, okay, we get the fire out, and the next morning, we build a new barn. And we cooperate, we work together. Because we're doing one bun, two shoot, don't kill, anything like unto it. And so in the night, here comes your next group. And pretty soon, we're getting smart. And we're putting men out on the edges of our town. And suddenly we're catching some of those slaves. And the next day we're taking the slave into court saying, hey, this guy's trying to burn us down, but it's not really his fault. His master's telling him to do it. Only to find that the judge in town was part of the mob the night before. And case is thrown out. Well, we're sending runners to Joseph Smith saying, help. We don't know how to do this. We're trying to live the laws of Zion, trying to be good people. We're turning the other cheek. We're no adultery, no this, no that. And I'm telling you, we're getting burned out. And Joseph keeps saying, take it to court, take it to court. Nothing's working. Okay, finally we come to, we're now towards the end of 1833. And the question is, where is it going to erupt? It's like we're sitting on a powder keg and somebody's got to pull the trigger that's going to cause all the problems. Okay, here's our circle square, and there is a river called the Missouri River, and there's a small tributary, a small little stream called Big Blue. And, all right, so the saints were coming from Ohio. They would have their wagons. They would put them on barges, and they would come down the river. And once they got down the river, they would then get on a small barge that was owned by David Whitmer, and he had employed a man named Orrin Porter Rockwell. And Orrin Porter Rockwell, his job was, you help these people transfer their goods, get on our barge, and come down, and until they come in here, they will meet with Bishop Partridge, and suddenly they've got themselves a land of inheritance. And oh, did we mention, yes, brother, we need you to work in the fields out here. Okay. So one day, as Orrin Porter Rockwell is transferring a group of people that have just passed Joseph, are just coming into town, suddenly, remember those old Southerners? They've been sitting at the general store, and their conclusion was, we got to stop the Mormons, because actually they're going to get enough of them, they're going to outvote us, and our town's going to change. And their conclusion was, we don't know how to stop all of them, but we do know how to stop the ones today. They're going to be coming down to town. Let us go attack the people on the barge. And so suddenly, here come your Southerners. Well, Orrin Porter Rockwell, wow, he's made it. He's living the laws of Zion. You guys want the barge? Great. Oh, you're dumping the, okay, perfect. Let me help the people get to the side of the banks. And Orrin Porter Rockwell then gets on a horse, and he comes down here, and he comes to the home of David Whitmer, and he says to Whitmer, I lost your barge. And David Whitmer says, what are you talking about? He had lived closer to the temple site. His property had never been burned out. Only the people on the edge.